Today is December 21st. It's the first day of winter, and for certain people, it's a time to mourn those who were savagely killed in a deadly act of terrorism that occurred on this day in 1988. Pan Am Flight 103 was blown up over Lockerbie, Scotland 28 years ago. It made for an early, albeit bitter taste of radical Islamic terrorism. These days, such atrocities are far more commonplace, unfortunately. Post 9/11, the death toll scrolls along the bottom of the TV, and we shrug for what used to be shocking is now mundane. 14 dead in San Bernardino, 49 in Orlando, 130 in Paris. The corpses pile up, and too many of us collectively say, hey, what are you going to do? In fact, some progressives even refuse to label it for what it is, Islamist terrorism. Don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, after all. Regardless, it's part of the human condition to remember the victims, which is why I'd like to tell you about my friend, Hanna Maria, who was aboard that doomed Pan Am flight. Hanna Maria was brilliant and beautiful and kind-hearted. Of course, we're supposed to speak well of the dead. I've never bought into such phoniness yet. In Hanna Maria's case, she embodied all those qualities and more. We both attended Lawrence Park Collegiate Institute in Toronto, the class of 1981. If anything, I wish I had gone to know Hanna Maria better. Actually, I wish I would have had the chutzpah back then to ask her out on a date, but the fact of the matter is, Hanna Maria was way, way out of my league, so aside from meaningless chit-chat in the hallways, I had to admire Hanna Maria from afar. And there was much to admire. Hanna Maria was a unique specimen indeed, brains and beauty, wit and grace. When she graduated from Lawrence Park, she went on to Harvard. Things came so easy for Hanna Maria. But on December 21st, 1988, Hanna Maria boarded Pan Am Flight 103 for what would become an abbreviated one-way trip. The plane was taken down by a bomb as it flew over Lockerbie, Scotland. A piece of filth called Abdel Basset Ali al-Megrahi was eventually convicted in 2001 for his role in the bombing. He never once displayed an ounce of remorse. Now, we're supposed to be tough on terrorists, but are we really? Because in 2009, Scotland's Justice Secretary, Kenny McCaskill, gave al-Megrahi a get-out-of-jail-free card. The then 57-year-old former Libyan intelligence agent was suffering from terminal prostate cancer, and McCaskill decided to free the terrorist on compassionate grounds. He supposedly only had a few months to live. Turned out the docs got it wrong, as he lingered on for a few years, actually. Now, one must ponder if McCaskill even knows the meaning of the word compassion. Did he ever speak to the 270 families that had to bury their loved ones thanks to al-Megrahi's atrocity? What compassion did he show his innocent victims prior to vaporizing them? If anything, al-Megrahi lucked out in terms of geography. If Pan Am 103 had crashed in, say, Laredo, Texas, as opposed to Lockerbie, Scotland, he would have received the long needle decades ago. Now, we'll never be able to prevent acts of terrorism, but we can surely mount a proper response to terrorism, which is to say we shouldn't show terrorists or rogue nations compassion, because that is misplaced compassion. Even so, I really wonder what Hanna Maria would have said about al-Megrahi's early release had she survived, because unlike him, Hanna Maria and the 269 other victims of Pan Am 103 never did get that second chance. For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Like what you just saw? Then click subscribe below and never miss another Rebel video.